Hi, this is John Rosenhead, Jerusalem psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post, the parsha Balak, we're going to look at the effects of anxiety, what panic, anxiety, and fear does to a person in the way that they perceive themselves and they perceive the world around them. So if we look at this week's parsha Balak, it's quite interesting and a bit of a unique parsha in the sense that we are reading about a whole parsha where the Bnei Yisrael are not actually actively involved in any way. The whole parsha is about this plan and interaction between Balak and Bilam in how they're going to bring down and destroy the Bnei Yisrael, how they can attack them through magic and through cursing them. And this whole situation plays itself out, and the Bnei Yisrael are not involved. They're not aware even about what's happening. And we know that it ends with the downfall of Balak and the downfall of Bilam. And it turns out obviously to be a positive ending for the Bnei Yisrael. But what we can look at and we can focus on is how this whole story plays out, not because of the Bnei Yisrael, but because of the way Balak perceived the situation. It doesn't have anything to do with the Bnei Yisrael because it's purely Balak's experience, Balak's perception of what happened and the way that he perceived the Bnei Yisrael. Because what we're told in the Psukim is that Balak went to Bilam to bring down the Bnei Yisrael, to curse them, because of what the pasuk describes is that he saw that the Bnei Yisrael were large in number. It's very ambiguous and lacking in precise detail, in the sense that Balak was worried. It obviously seems to be implying that he feared the consequences of the Bnei Yisrael increasing in number, a little bit similar to Paro's experience and fear about the Bnei Yisrael becoming strong and large in number in Mitzrayim. What we see here in Balak is that he seems to have created, or what emerges is this whole situation of seeing the Bnei Yisrael. Perhaps we could say numerically they were increasing in number, but the fact that there is a lack of detail is more an indication of how Balak experienced the situation. There was a fear, there was a panic, there was an anxiety about the Bnei Yisrael. There was something about them that Balak was in a way just dominated by this feeling of fear and anxiety, which changed his perception. He viewed them as being powerful and being intimidating, and someone that the Bnei Yisrael is just almost, in a way, he was predicting that it's going to be his own downfall if he doesn't do something about this now. He was overwhelmed by this sense of panic and fear and anxiety, which is that's what the emotion does. The emotion of anxiety warps, changes the way that we perceive ourselves, perhaps seeing ourselves as being incapable, incompetent, perhaps weaker, not having the ability to deal with and cope with the situation, or to cope with whatever's coming in life, whatever you're facing in life. It changes the way that you perceive the situations that you're in and the way that you interact with other people and perceive other people. And he viewed the world as being dangerous. He viewed the world, Bnei Yisrael, as being a threat and a danger. And he had to do something about it. So therefore, it's significant that although it's a story in a way that is highly relevant about the Bnei Yisrael, involving their potential downfall, but does not involve them in any way, because objectively, this story has nothing to do with the Bnei Yisrael. They have no involvement. There's no active involvement and part that they have to play. It's purely the subjective experience, the emotional experience of Balak, the fear and the anxiety that overtook him, that seized him, and led him then to seek Bilam and to seek any means possible through magic and through cursing to bring the Bnei Yisrael down. So this is a powerful story in the way that we can look at the Mitzrayim, and in some ways it has actually an overlap with the way that we perceive the Purim story in the Megillah. There's an important message, understanding how emotions can have an impact and can change the way that we perceive situations, the way that we think about situations, and the way that we feel. It can be such a strong resource, in the sense that it has the power for good and the power to give us confidence and to enable us to cope with situations. But it also can be our own downfall. And for Balak, this was the case. For Balak, he was a king, he had authority, he had power, but it was his downfall that he didn't seem to be able to manage and cope and respond to this perception, this fear and this panic that overtook him and seized him. I wish you a good Shabbos and keep well.